conflict between militants and government forces in Pakistan has displaced around 2.5 million people, many of them children. They are arriving in camps, towns and villages with few possessions and in urgent need of food and water, shelter, healthcare and protection. The conflict has rendered many areas off limits for humanitarian work and has severely affected services, especially for children, in an already impoverished region. Antonia Paradela, UNICEF Pakistan's Chief of External Relations, was in the UK this week. I began by asking her to outline the situation facing children in the country.
The most difficult situation UNICEF is facing in Pakistan is the situation of the displaced children. Approximately 2.5 million people have been displaced in the past month in the northwest of Pakistan due to fighting, and around 65% of them are children. These children have experienced conflict, they have fear for their lives, they are traumatized. In some cases they have seen relatives died. They had to escape in very difficult conditions during the lifting of curfews. They are arriving in huge numbers in neighboring districts in the Northwest Frontier Province. The vast majority of them are living in communities either with extended family or in lodges that their parents are able to rent, and about 20% are living in camps for displaced people. UNICEF in Pakistan is working in the camps to reach the children that are the most vulnerable. In many cases, the children feel a sense of relief being in the camp, particularly at the beginning, because they don't hear any bombings, because there is no fighting, they feel safer. But they are also sometimes a bit lost and traumatized by their previous experiences. UNICEF is reaching out to them in child-friendly spaces where the children can play. It's an environment when they can relax, where there are trained workers that can also provide psychosocial support. It's very nice to see them playing with toys, drawing, playing sports. It's good to see they are having a chance to be children again.
What are some of the other issues that might be affecting children in the camps?
Of particular importance for children living in the camp is to have hygienic environment, and UNICEF is supporting this by providing safe water, latrines, and also hygiene sessions and a little hygiene kit so that the families can keep their children clean, they have safe water to drink, and we avoid waterborne diseases. At this level also, when it comes to health and nutrition, there is a corps of women called the Lady Health Workers in Pakistan, which is like a type of paramedics that also share information with the mothers. They encourage them to take the children for vaccination. They explain the importance, for example, for pregnant women of having the tetanus vaccine. They try to also provide antenatal care and make sure that pregnant women, when they are about to deliver, are able to be attended by a skilled birth attendant.
Were there any children you met in the camps whose stories affected you in particular?
One of the first girls I met in Jalala camp, which is one of the largest in Mardan district, very close to the area of fighting in the Swat Valley. I met her when she was alone, surrounded by men in the area where they were distributing essential supplies for the families. She was looking for floor mats for her family's tent. And then we followed her and we met her mother. Kianat is a girl who is about 10 years old. Like many girls and women in these conservative rural areas, she doesn't know her exact age because in many cases their births are not registered. In her particular case, her mother was alone with 6 children. What UNICEF is doing, for example, for this type of families is through child protection monitors that walk from tent to tent, is to identify either the cases where there are children that are on their own or female-headed households, and make sure they also have access to the services and supplies that are available in the camp. Since for these women and girls, sometimes it's very difficult to compete with grown-up men in the access, particularly for supplies when it comes to distributions, or they might not be aware of the services that are there. Then a few days after I met Kenat again, she had a scratch on the side of her face that had healed. She was attending the UNICEF-supported school. She had been in school until 4th grade in primary in her village, until the school was occupied by armed forces. And she felt happier and more confident. And definitely, I think for her, the chance to go to school again, to continue her education, was very important. In camp conditions, in the trauma of leaving your home and being separated from your family and friends, school brings normalcy to children's life. It brings a routine and also a sense of purpose.
What are UNICEF's priorities going forward, and how do you expect the situation to develop?
UNICEF's main priorities in Pakistan right now is to get enough funding to respond to the needs of a total of 3 million displaced people, out of which these 2.5 million we mentioned earlier had been just displaced in the past month. Is really making sure that the children don't suffer, that they are healthy, and they can still in displacement conditions, reach their full potential. But also, in a way, be prepared, because there are very strong indications that military operations might expand to areas near the Afghan border. And, for example, Southwest Waziristan, in the tribal areas, and this could potentially trigger also a displacement of civilians. Then for UNICEF and its partners in government, other UN agencies and NGOs, it's important also to be prepared and to make sure that if there is new displacement, that we're going to have the capacity to assist this population when they need it most.
UNICEF needs an additional £26 million to respond to the expanding humanitarian crisis in Pakistan. You can help support our work by donating online at www.unicef.org.uk/Pakistan. This is Andy Brown reporting for UNICEF UK.